Business Courier front page centerpiece this week, Duke's new energy. Our region would literally be in the dark without the product Jim Henning oversees. He leads an organization that we depend on and use every day, but few of us know his name or much about him. Henning is president of Duke Energy in Ohio and Kentucky. Prior to that, he was Duke Ohio's vice president of government and regulatory affairs. His predecessor, Julie Jansen, was heavily involved in economic development, serving with a number of local organizations whose job it is to bring business to Cincinnati. Henning knows that for Duke to succeed, the tri-state has to grow. That prompted us to ask the question, what is Duke doing to contribute to that growth? Business Courier reporter Chris Wetterick sat down recently with Henning, who gives us his first interview since taking the helm of Duke Energy. Chris sits down with Business Courier editor Rob Dahlmeyer here in the studio to talk about what Henning had to say. Rob and Chris?
Brian, thanks. Chris, thanks for being here. So you talked to Mr. Henning at length. Brian said it, you know, Duke has always had an outsized, especially lately, an outsized relationship with this city other than just being its utility. Is Henning going to continue what Julie Jansen and others have done with Duke?
Yeah, he embraces that mission, that economic development mission pretty heavily. You know, Duke's interesting in that they have, you know, they're kind of like an octopus when it comes to economic development. They have tentacles in every major economic development organization in the city or in the region, and he plans to continue that. I mean, he serves on all the big shot boards like the Cincinnati Business Committee, the Greater Cincinnati USA Chamber, but they also meet with local communities. They have an independent contractor that takes a look at greenfield, you know, potential greenfield development and advises communities on, you know, what they ought to do with that land.
Now, getting back to their actual business, energy business. EPA has recently passed some carbon emissions rules. Duke has some pretty dirty energy.
Yeah.
How does he feel about Duke right now in that?
You know, it's interesting because maybe 5 years ago, you know, a lot of people in his position would be, you know, pretty skeptical, you know, even agitated about the potential rules that could come out about carbon. You know, he kind of seems to be taking it in stride. They acknowledge that they have a lot of coal plants, but they also say a lot of those coal plants are reaching the end of their useful life anyway. They've been in service for decades, and they would have had to retire them anyway. So they want to look at, you know, alternative energy like solar and wind and, you know, even nuclear to the extent that they can do anything there. But, you know, they also look at natural gas as a possibility. It's very cheap right now. Henning comes from the natural gas side of Duke's business, so you know they feel like they're prepared for those rules should they come to pass.
Right. That was a great story, Chris. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.